Hello and welcome to another Leica review. Today we are looking at our final section, which is the buying guide for the medium format cameras, and we have already talked in this first section about the usefulness and the applications for the medium format cameras from Leica. Now we're going to talk about how to choose a camera and how to use it for best results. And for that, I will begin simply by talking about the previous version and the current version, the CCD and the CMOS type of sensors that the Leica S lineup had. And we are going to talk about the latest camera, the Leica S3, that has a 64 megapixel sensor. So let us begin by the first generation of the medium format, which is the Leica S. Now, initially when it was introduced, it had 37.5 megapixels, and this was a CCD type of sensor, very expensive to produce, but yielded incredibly good results. And what happened with that camera, with that sensor, was that professionals embraced it as their first choice for multiple reasons, which I'll talk in a bit. But let's first talk about that sensor. That sensor, because it was a CCD type of sensor, it had a randomized noise pattern. What that meant is that if you took a photograph in a lower light settings and you had to push your ISO up, what you had was a film-like look. And that film-like look gave this very special look that mimicked the results that we were so used to having used, for example, medium format cameras from the film era. Yet we had this ease of use from having to use a digital type of sensor, making our workflow a lot faster and our ability to manipulate the photographs as we see fit in a more liberal sense. So it was a groundbreaking, revolutionary camera in its own right. There was also another factor which often people never talk about, which is the way it was designed. Normally, if you look at the medium format cameras, they're bulky, they're large. Today, even the best of the best medium format cameras are still large. They are not the kind of cameras that are designed to be taken out of the studio or to be used on the street. It would have been very difficult for a lot of the professionals to able to take those cameras out and, for example, shoot on the street or shooting outdoors and get results. And of course, these cameras that were produced at the time, a lot of them, and still today, they're not weather sealed. So what happened was that these cameras were basically for in-studio use, and those were the simple application that it had. What happened with the Leica S was that it was designed to look and have the feel of a normal DSLR type of camera, yet it had a medium format. What that meant is that a person who was using this camera would have all the liberty of being able to go into any environment, shoot it with like a full frame DSLR type of camera, yet have the benefits of medium format. And that created this beautiful revolutionary step in the right direction for medium formats. Now, again, here is what happened with that direction. The Hasselblad, they came out with really small cameras that yielded results that use for medium format. Yet again, we're looking at the Leica's that revolutionary step, and we've seen that lineage continue all the way to S3. The format is the same, the look is almost the same. There is no differentiation from what is fundamentally a great design. And that is what makes Leica cameras special, because if you look at, for example, the M series, there is a lineage that continues on. You see that beautiful format, beautiful shape that has become a classic. And then you look at the medium formats, the Leica S lineup, that is the way it was supposed to be and designed so well that there's no major alterations in the styling and in the design of the camera. So when we could look at the current version, the weather sealing and all the other stuff that has been improved upon, yet we see that the first camera and the last camera that has just been released recently have the same inherent look, which is what makes it special. So that being said, let's look at what the CCD sensors did for what it was. At the time when it was announced, it was this very special look that we found to be very accurate, very beautiful. The colors were of Leica colors. The lenses, they were all made in Japan, yet carried the formula that Leica had. So when you looked at those lenses, they were incredibly beautiful. They were very heavy, very well made. And what happened was you got these incredible results by using these lenses. What happened is that there was a period when these lenses had some malfunctions with the focus mechanisms and everything else. Leica covered them, fixed them up, and then free of charge, and then had them sent back to their customers. This took 6 to 8 months, but again, what the results were, these incredibly well made lenses now had upgraded motors to function properly. Now, what will happen for anyone who's going to go into a medium format camera must understand that because of those lens elements being so much larger and so much heavier, you're not going to get the speed that you will get from a full frame camera. A full frame camera can shoot multiple images very fast, and data transfer will be very fast, and the autofocus will be very fast because the lens elements are not as heavy and not as bulky. What will happen with the Leica S is that you're going to have a much slower focusing, yet the results, once nailed, are going to be incredibly well. So it is not actually designed for example, for sports photography or that kind of application where the objects are moving at rapid speeds, unless you are very well planned to take it at certain points, like car races, like in Monaco and everything else. It can be done. Yet again, it requires precise planning, a precise course of action, precise timing. So that's a very complicated process. For anyone who's moving, if you're going to shoot a soccer game or something that is where the humans are interacting one another in a randomized pattern, this is not the camera to use it. However, again, what is beautiful is that once the focus is nailed, it is very accurate and it's very good. And the fact that you can shoot it and get this incredible bokeh that outstands and outperforms the bokeh that you'll get from a full frame is going to set your photography apart. So what I will say to you is this: if you shot with, for example, Noctilux, and then you found your Noctilux to be an incredible lens that delivered incredible results, you could take a 70mm and photograph, which will give you approximately 50mm in full frame size, and yet shoot at f2.8 or f2. What you will have is this incredible bokeh that mimics or looks as good as a Noctilux, yet has a very different, distinct feel that can only be described as a medium format look. So it is for that very reason that anybody who chooses to use a medium format camera must understand the limitations and also the advantages that come from using it. Now, in the second generation of cameras that were introduced by Leica, which carried the CMOS sensor, the megapixels were kept the same. So you have 37.5 megapixels. What happened with the CMOS was that the low light performance increased dramatically. So you no longer had to shoot at 200 or 400 ISOs or the 160 ISO for the S2. What happened is that in the second generation of the CMOS cameras that were on the Leica's S lineup were a better performer in the low light situations. Again, here is a trade-off. You have a sensor that performs well, yet is subjected to have noise patterns that are more linear, which could be problematic if you are going to push up your ISO. For that very reason, I do not ever recommend shooting above 3200, preferably 1600 or lower on the medium format. So if you think about the medium format and if you want to do low light photography, you have to understand that you have to have proper lighting and being aware of the limitations when you're doing that kind of photography. On the plus side, I never would like to get rid of the CCD, because the look that you'll have from a CCD is much different than the CMOS. It will have a more organic feel. It will have a much more pleasant transitions in color tones, and it will have very unique look that cannot be duplicated with the CMOS sensor. So it is a special recipe. It's an older recipe, yet tastes as good or even better than the current lineup. The limitations is you have to have artificial light, or you have to have light that is available, light that is going to compensate for that difference in lighting. And believe me, medium format cameras, especially CCDs, require a lot of light. I never want to shoot it above the base ISO, because I know that it's going to rapidly deteriorate the quality of the image. So for example, on the S2, I don't go up over 320, because I know that is my upper limit. That's what I like to have, because I like to have a clean image. So having said that, if you are comfortable with that, and if you are doing indoor photography, if you're doing studio photography, you're going to have available lights, studio lights. You're going to have flashes that you can use to compensate for that difference. So that means prior planning, prior recognition of the circumstances, and that way you are going to be able to deliver results in a much more predictable manner. So if you're doing fashion photography, portraiture, and indoor photography, that camera will be my first choice. Moving up to the second CMOS lineup, the CMOS sensor being the more usable camera in low light circumstances meant that photographers could take it outdoors and shoot at night and still get decent results, and results that would have been acceptable by professional standards.